What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Apartment K podcast. This is episode 6, I
I thought it was
believe.
5.
It's 6.
Oh, it's episode 6.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last 5 things we talked about.
I don't remember either, but it doesn't matter because we're going to keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay. We had some technical issues, but we fixed them, so we're good to go.
We're back. Better than ever-ish.
Ish. Yeah. We're here. We're still alive.
We're here. We recently, a couple of things on today's topic, I guess. We recently saw Barbie, so we have a couple of things to say. Plus, I have a few things to say about, like, feminism and nihilism. Just a few things I looked into yesterday.
All types of isms.
All types of isms. Where we've been, I guess, where we, like, what's happening in our lives. And, I don't know, I guess that's just a general topic, just kind of dipping our toes in water because it's been a good month since we podcasted, so we miss you. We're glad to be back.
Man, it's been a whole month. That's crazy.
It has been a whole month, which is funny because I feel like it's been a whole month, but like when I look back at it, I don't know what I've done in that whole month, if that makes sense.
Well, we went to Tahoe, so that's one thing.
That's true. We did go on vacation / Tahoe for a week, which was great. We were active. We did drink, but...
It was pretty fun. I feel like we haven't been to Tahoe in a minute, so it was cool to kind of like go back.
Right.
And, you know, we had a nice Airbnb.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful view of Reno. That was nice.
It was like out the way, but not really. Like it was 15 minutes from the casino. It was like 10 minutes, but like it was kind of out the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Close enough.
It was more in the hills this time.
Exactly.
I think usually when we go, we end up staying like somewhere
on the strip,
on the water.
Or that too, yeah.
We don't really stay on the strip if you think about it.
I guess whenever I go with my family, like when it's a hotel, I'll say that it's on the strip.
Yeah.
Which I like the strip because it's just convenient. If anybody's been to Tahoe, haven't been to Tahoe, what the strip is basically like, you have the Lake Tahoe, and there's like a strip like in Las Vegas that has like the casinos, food places. I don't know.
It's like
shopping
it's
center.
like downtown.
Exactly.
Tahoe, basically.
Exactly. Pretty cute. Oh, and it was the same week that the celebrity golf tournament was going on. That I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Didn't see anybody famous, but people kept being like, you're supposed to.
It was Steph Curry.
Justin Timberlake. Brad Pitt was on there. Well, I don't know, yeah.
Some white guy. There was a white guy there. We did jet ski past the tournament.
Yeah, which was kind of cool. Jet skiing, to me, that was the highlight of the trip. Highlight was jet skiing. The downside was I wish I didn't, like, get high that much.
Yeah, we did end up drinking quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. It's vacation, man, you know? I feel like
vacation.
You gotta give yourself a break sometimes, right?
Yeah, it was good. But see, I feel like kind of the funny and / like the stressful thing with me, at least in my family, I feel like when I'm on vacation with family, like I end up kind of getting stressed out either way. So when I came back, I felt like I needed a vacation for my vacation because we were both still working too, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, since I started this job, I really haven't had a vacation, like, just doing nothing, you know? I'm always, like, working. So.
Yep.
I think next vacation I want to go, like, I should have PTO, like, just, like, a week of, like, nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's possible, right? People do that.
It is. But,
yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. But.
So, what'd you think about the Barbie movie?
I loved it, first and foremost. Loved it. Better than expected, yes, but also I kind of expected it. I went into it without like watching a lot of trailers, videos. I don't even think I watched the first video. I mean the first trailer or anything. I literally I love Margot Robbie. I love America Ferrera. I saw a lot of interviews of like just the cast and just how their experience was of the movie. Mm-hmm. But I went into it knowing nothing about it. And without giving a lot of spoilers, I thought it was a great like commentary on feminism, but also like feminism right now, like 2013. I thought it was a great like snapshot of like, you know what I mean, where we're at. And
yeah. How so?
I feel like, I mean, they had kind of those like those, not trigger words, but like those words like, oh, don't appropriate, you know what I mean, which I think is very 2023-esque. And I like this kind of...
when the dad was learning Spanish.
Yeah.
I thought that shit was so funny. You can't even, like, learn a different language now without it being cultural appropriation.
Well, no, it's because he said, like, a certain word. I think that's why, like, I think it was...
He said a certain word.
Also, like, I kind of like that everything was almost in jest as well, you know what I mean? It was the view of... I don't want to give it away because I know people haven't watched it.
Well, how about this? Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it, skip over this part.
And I also I read about this as well, like yesterday, kind of in preparation for this as well. I like that they talk about patriarchy as well. And it's kind of about, in the Barbie world, it's women ruling the world. It is matriarchal society. It's like the pendulum is on the other side, is how it is. Mm-hmm. And then somebody made an interesting point of how Ken was like very fastly radicalized by that patriarchal society, and then he took it and like just ran with it. And I thought that was a very interesting aspect of like, another thing I said, it's a very like view of like 2023 where we're at, like all this like very radicalized, oops, sorry to popping that, like very like radicalized people, and people just hear an idea, like if they kind of believe in it, they kind of lean towards it, just really sucks you in. Not saying it's a very new 2021, 23 issue, but I thought it was a very interesting way they did it. It was a fun movie, I'll say.
Yeah.
And it's a movie I want to watch a couple of times because I know I missed a lot. What do you think?
I'll say, like, going into it, I didn't have any expectations.
Right, you
like,
didn't really want to see it.
I didn't want to see it. But I didn't think it would be, like, a social commentary movie.
Oh, you didn't know that at all. Got you.
I didn't watch any trailers.
Uh-huh.
I didn't read about it. I didn't know shit. I saw like the little teasers and like some of the little shit on social media, but
I knew it was a social commentary. Yeah. I knew that more because Greta Gerwig, whatever, she does always social commentary movies. Like she's just a feminist. Like.
Yeah, so I didn't know any of that. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah,
it's like a funny movie.
Exactly.
Like social commentary aside, I liked it for like the comedy. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
It was a good movie, a standalone good movie, without being like, oh, like it's trying to get all these woke topics. You know what I mean?
It was trying to get the woke topics.
I mean, it was, but like they did it in jest, and that's what I liked about it.
But
they
not
kind of
really
made fun
though.
Of it.
It was in jest, but not really.
Not really. It was
of
course.
I think what they were trying to do is like they made it tongue in cheek because
that's a great
because
word
it's a Barbie movie.
You get
with like social commentary undertones, but like you can. They definitely were trying to make a point.
Well, of course,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
But I think like even if you're like not into that, like that type of movie or whatever, it's still like a funny fucking
exactly.
movie.
And I also
Will Ferrell did his thing. Shout out to Will Ferrell.
Did not even know he was going to be in the movie.
Yeah, I didn't
first of all, actually, I did.
The cast I think the cast is pretty good.
Great,
especially all the Kens. I think all the Kens are really funny. All the Barbies
were great.
Were really funny. They had a really good cast.
Great cast. And another thing that I liked about it, I feel like I just forgot my point, but I'll get back to me. I had like a point going. But consider what else was there anything you didn't like? Did you think it was kind of like,
I mean, I hate any movie that's like too much on like one side. So like the feminism shit was cool or whatever, but I think like again, like I don't know, I'm not like this is what I'll say, let me finish. As a movie about Barbie, like this is for sure like for women.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's like great. Like I think like it made me realize like, oh, women need this movie. You know what I mean? Because like everybody, all your female friends were like, "Oh, I loved it. I cried." Like,
no, not really. Like Gabby was like, "I wouldn't even watch it."
Sure, but a lot of like the female reviews that I've heard, it's like obviously like all positive. This is great, whatever. So I think that's fantastic. Like that's the demographic. But I also hate like when movies are too much on any side. Like,
right.
I hate when movies are too much like this is the way the world is. You know what I mean? Do you want to start it off? Yeah.
I think it's that lady, dude. I have to. Okay, whatever. I'll just call her back.
Just call her back. She'll just keep going.
Sorry, China Chris.
They'll even watch this.
They don't watch it. But no, that's funny that you say that, but because what I was going to say was, I thought, yeah, of course, the whole like majority part of the movie was like the matriarchy, like women's rule, patriarchy, like all that sucks. They kind of fucked up the world. But I liked at the end, which I didn't think they were going to go for this, it kind of was like, well, you should be you. They didn't end it on like a woman rocks. It's like even with the Ken, it's like you're not just my Ken. You know what I mean? You should be you as a Ken. Yeah, and I love that.
But they said that as they wrapped it up with like women are now. I mean, like again, it's like it's a Barbie movie,
it's
so you can't
Barbie's
take
world,
it too seriously.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Barbie's world.
It's Barbie world.
Yeah.
But I think I guess this is the point that like I nitpicked out, and this is like my problem with like a lot of arguments in the world right now.
Right.
It's like when I think of equality, it means like being equal.
Right.
It doesn't mean transferring the power from one oppressor to another. Right. So take for example like racism. It's like you don't have equality in race by giving black people power over white people. Like that's just transferring the power. Right. No. So what I thought was funny, and they kind of touched on this as well, which I thought was like nice, where it's like, you know, Ken in Barbie world is like the oppressed person, right?
Exactly.
And they like joked in reference to how like women are oppressed in
our
real
world, yeah, which is facts.
Yeah, okay, but whatever. So then it's like when Ken comes and takes over, now like they kind of like, it's like the like you can say like you parallel it to here, right? It's like if women ruled the world, men would suddenly be like, I'm so powerless, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like the commentary that I got from it. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting. But again, it's like what I was saying, like the transferring of power. It's like, well, in a real, truly equal society, like men and women would just be treated equal no matter what. And there would be equal representation in all offices and professions and whatever, right? Yeah. Whereas, like, the whole ending of the movie was just like, we need to take back Barbie Land from the kids. Which, again, it's like, it's a Barbie movie, so of course that's a natural. Right. But I just thought it was interesting, like, that's the... Like, they didn't... Okay, this is what I'll say. It didn't feel like they were making an argument for equality. It felt like they're just making an argument for women taking over.
So I saw it differently. I saw it as they were making it not even equality. I forgot the word for it, but it's also like there's not really such thing as equality because nobody is truly equal. You know,
yeah.
Some
people are disabled,
but like they say like with equality you need like it's not equity. There's a word like with disabled people you need like some type of upper whatever for them. There's like a specific word for it. So that's why, like, it's not that we ask for equality. It's, like, because we have such different sets and different, like, strong suits and stuff like that. I think that's the point it was trying to make, you know? Because even when you were, like, in this world, I was like, oh, women are oppressed. You were kind of like, whatever. That's kind of the point. Like, they're...
It's not whatever.
No, I know. But they were
I just don't feel like, at least in 2023 today, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe in the 90s or whatever the fuck you can make it different. I think in 2023... women aren't as oppressed as they make the argument for.
I think you can say that about like certain countries, certain places.
Here in America.
Yeah.
Here in America where we openly protest these things. Right. I would say that the women in America, or let's just say Western society, because I'm sure Europe is pretty similar. In Western society, women aren't as oppressed as they make the argument for.
And I digress, but I'm biased because I'm a woman and you're a man. You know what I mean?
What's one thing that I can do that you can't do?
I mean, I don't have anything specific. You know what I mean? I don't have like at the top of my head.
If you were so oppressed, wouldn't you have like at least one good example? But again, whatever.
You know what I mean? Then it's like I don't have, and I do think women are, and I do think, I mean, even in like some countries in Arkansas, you can't even have an abortion anymore. You know what I mean? So like, of course, women are. We're talking about Texas. They're trying to like take away reproductive rights from women. So you're saying women aren't oppressed? I'm sorry.
So can they not get an abortion right now?
No,
Arkansas?
They can't. I don't know if it's Arkansas. It's like the actual. They can't. They like literally can't. Or they say like, oh, like with rape and stuff, you still have to have the kids. Like a lot of states are having a lot of these laws. I swear to God. That's why. And to be like, oh, women in 2023 isn't oppressed. I think they're oppressed. I think the same with like black people in the United States. Yeah, you can say it's better for them, but are they oppressed? Yes. Would you disagree?
As a black man, I would disagree.
That's very interesting. And from what I've seen, I agree. Systematic racism, police brutality.
Okay, but that's again like as a black person, I've been arrested. I've gone to jail. I've dealt with police. You can say like maybe. What's
the word? That's just like your, you know.
Yeah, sure. But this is what I'm saying. Like that's your anecdotal.
Yeah, anecdotal. That's it.
Fucking.
A lot of women say that.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of black guys would say the same thing I'm saying. But it's like.
Oh no. Okay. You think so? I think a lot of black people would say they're oppressed.
Yeah, because that's the narrative. But if you go about your day-to-day life, I don't get treated with racism. Like I don't walk into a store and get like dirty looks or get followed around. Again, maybe in the 90s it was like that, but today in 2023, like, and again, I'll say this too. Maybe I'm spoiled because I live in California.
In a bubble, yes, you are.
I mean, that's a pretty big bubble, but
the East Bay bubble.
All of California, LA's not fucking racist like that.
I know, but I'm just saying East Bay, especially in this little bubble we live in.
San Francisco's not that racist.
Okay, I guess the Bay Area bubble. I'm just talking. Okay, the California bubble, yeah.
It's a pretty big bubble. But anyways, my point is, today in 2023, there's like a general air of like people don't care as much about like these issues.
Dude, like black people are still getting killed by the police. Like, daily. You don't think that's like
Bro,
oppression?
Black people kill more black people than the police kill us. Like, it's not. I'm not saying it's like not an issue or whatever. But if you look at it statistically, it's like I don't know. I feel like our efforts and our like outrage is misplaced a little bit.
Where do you think it should be then?
I mean, that's a whole episode in its own. I don't really want to get into
totally
it.
Disagree, and you know this. Like, I disagree with that. Like, I totally think.
But again, it's like I always say. Like, let's take the police thing for example.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If I get pulled over by a cop, my first reaction isn't, "Oh, you fucking pig! You pulled me over because I'm black. Fuck you!" Like, no, I don't want to give you my license. No, I'm not going to give you my registration. It's yes, sir. You know, do you know why I pulled you over? No, sir. Here's your ticket. All right, cool. Bye. And I'll go fucking fight that bitch in court. Like, you gotta like play the game. Because at the end of the day, despite what race that person in that fucking uniform is, it's a position of power, right? And with any position of power, people are going to abuse it. For like, just statistically speaking, if you have 100 people who are cops, some of them are going to abuse that power, right? So you just got to be respectful. But I know a lot of people who are black who act super rowdy around cops, and then they wonder why bad shit happens. And then again, on the other side, I know people who act the same way I act, respectfully, and they just get the ticket and they keep it pushing.
What about like?
Don't really happen.
What is it? I think his name was like Orlando something. He literally was like a 50-year-old man who it happened, and then
listen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying like, it's not just like, to sum it up, it's like, oh, we just still live in an era of racism. Like, that's not it.
But I think it's silly to be like, well, it didn't happen to me, and like people I know, so it doesn't happen. Like, it doesn't happen.
I didn't say it doesn't happen. I literally just
said.
I know. It happens. I'm saying it happens, but I'm saying like you can't just chalk it up to racism.
So
you
what
can't
could
just
you
be
chalk
like,
it up? So
whatever. Just circumstances of life. Maybe that one specific cop is racist, but you can't say all cops are racist.
I think it's a systematic racist institution.
Do you think
I don't think every single officer is racist, but I think it's a systematic racist institution, the police force, and like police. You know what I mean? You know this. Do I think all cops are bastards? No, I don't think the whole ACAB thing, but do I agree with their rhetoric? Do I see where they're coming from? Yes, I do. Yeah. That's where we kind of digress, because I'm very like, I don't like putting out my political views. I'm like very like far left and progressive, and I'm not just saying like I don't know. I have my own opinions.
So then here's my question, right? If, again, let's just take police, right? Since it's a very small little issue that we can kind of tackle. If the police as an institution is inherently racist, right? Even though there's a majority of different races that work within the police department, right? There's Asians, Hispanics, black people.
You don't think Asians are racist?
So, okay. So does that mean that the black cops are racist too?
Yeah, I think when you're in a position of power, I think you see like you're my brother's like blue. You see blue blood. You don't see black and white. I'm so serious. And people talk. There's statistics about that. When you're a black cop, you align more with your blue brothers and brothers opposed to like your own skin. Statistic. Check it. I'm so serious.
Check it.
I'm so serious, and that's why like I'm not gonna say anything about people.
All right, so back to my question. Back to my question. If the police as an institution is inherently racist, what do you think is the solution?
I don't have a solution, and that's why we talk about this. These people don't have a solution, but I do think it's better than having like brown and black people killed and like, you know.
Okay, so going back to what I was saying before,
and you can be like, oh,
even if I thought that the police as an institution was racist, I still think that the way I interact with the police officer is very much in my control. So
I mean, I'll agree with that.
With that being said, it's like I have the ability to escalate or de-escalate any situation to the best of my ability. So if a cop pulls me over and he is racist and he just wants to fuck with some black kid, he could just go ahead and fucking find any reason to shoot me.
Exactly.
So then it's like nothing I would have done would have stopped him from doing that anyways, right? But there is a way that you can interact and carry yourself to kind of de-escalate the situation. Because if it is inherently racist, that means that they're already going into every interaction with a predetermined like notion of what you are. So if they pull you over and you're black and they're thinking, oh, this like no good black hoodlum, he's a thug, he's a gangster, right? And then I roll down my window and I start being aggressive. I'm just reaffirming his racist ideology.
I totally
versus if I'm being polite, respectful, and calm, then it's like, oh, like this guy's not that.
I get where you're coming from. I totally agree. Not agree. I get where you're coming from, and I don't even know if what I'm about to say makes sense, but it almost gives me like it's almost like the divide you're putting between those type of black people, like the divide like Africans, people from Africa who come here have like don't like black Americans because they think they give them a bad name of black people. You know what I mean? And it's also like at the end of the day, you're all black people. You're just pushing a divide between each other. You know what I mean?
I don't like that shit either.
No, I don't like that. But like that's to me what it kind of sounds like. It's like I follow rules, I do this. You hoodlums, like they should like. Of course they get because they're hoodlums. They're blah blah blah. That's how it seems to me.
That's not what I'm saying.
I know.
I'm saying if you are, especially if you are like a nigga out here in these streets and you like you got the blicky on you and drugs in your fucking trunk, you should be the most polite.
No, I get you.
Like, you know what I mean? That's I'm not saying there's a divide like, oh, I'm this way and those niggas over there are that way. I'm saying you're in control of how you interact with these people.
No, I get you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of the times, the shit that goes south is because people act in a not so conducive manner.
But no, I don't have a solution to this. I'm not like, oh, like we should. A little solutions is like now, at least in I know Alameda County, they have a mental health service, so you call that line when something like that is happening, opposed to calling the police. So shit like that, yeah, that helps definitely. But I don't have a long-term solution yet. But I mean, what I'm trying to do is talk to people, see what they're feeling, what other, you know what I mean? That's all I can do. That's all I can do.
I don't know. It's a funny topic because I feel like people get...
it's a very polarizing topic.
It is polarizing. And I think people get riled up because
riled up.
Especially because of the news. But it's like... I don't know. Like, as a nigga who's been to jail, like, I don't necessarily think all cops are racist. You know what I mean? And I definitely feel like I've been like profiled before, like especially the first time I went to jail, I didn't do like anything damn near. So it's like,
and even seeing that, you were just like, oh yeah, they were great. Like,
no, I didn't say cops are great.
I know, but you were just like, oh,
at the end of the day, it's like they're people too. You know what I mean?
I get that.
When they take that fucking uniform off and they're just walking around Safeway, you're not like, you know what I mean? You're not just like, you look like a cop.
Oh, I do. Trust, I do.
I guess your fucking cop radar is just on point then. Huh?
You can tell. Are you joking? Cops look like cops. Like,
sometimes.
Cops look like
I'm
cops.
not walking around looking for fucking civilian cops, though. Just minding my fucking business.
Either. But, I don't know. So, it's like a very interesting thing, and like, I don't know.
So, overall, what would you rate the Barbie movie?
Oh, man. Like a 9 out of 10. I know that's super high, but I loved it. I loved it.
That's funny.
It's everything I thought it would be, plus more. Issa Rae did amazing in it. America Ferrera, Simu Liu was hella funny. Ryan Gosling did a great job. Margot Robbie was Barbie. Everyone did a great job.
Okay, so I have a question. How did you feel about like the kind of like fourth wall breaking?
Loved it. I love shit like that.
Audience?
Yeah, I love shit like that.
Yeah.
What about you? I don't mind it.
I like it. I don't know. I guess like I don't know. I do like it.
Right. I think it's fun.
I think it helped with the story, but I do think it kind of came like out of nowhere. Like within like the first like third of the movie, they had like that one like narration moment.
Well, I guess you missed the first like 20 minutes. They were starting narration, so he did. Yeah, I was like, it was a whole narration. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was just like out of nowhere, and I was like, what the fuck?
No, they started. It was like a whole narration thing. Yeah. What would you rate it?
I mean, I'll give it like a 6.5.
Really?
Like I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.
Okay. No, definitely a 9 for me. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's really good. I really liked it.
So you're gonna go see it again?
I'm planning to see it again on Tuesday. You should see it with me.
No, I don't think I will. I'll probably go see Oppenheimer.
Oh, let's do it. Yeah, you see that.
Yeah.
That's hella funny. Yeah, so we'll probably he'll give you a review on Oppenheimer.
I'll give you my thoughts and opinions.
I heard it was good. People were like, the little old white people are saying it's good.
Yeah, I know. It's about the atomic bomb, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Japanese people hate how depicted like it in Japan and shit. So like that's why I'm like.
Well, obviously it's a war movie.
Of course.
Like America's gonna look great, and the enemy is gonna look bad.
Yeah. So
I was telling.
I'm not interested in it.
I was trying to get like Hatem and Darren to go. And somebody was like, "Oh, like Darren can't see it because he's like Asian heritage."
I thought it was like Filipino.
Filipino.
I thought he was like half Filipino.
He's half something. I don't know what the fuck he's half.
Because I'm like, the fuck, that's not better if he's half Filipino.
Oh my God.
Like, I'm happy.
It was a joke.
I'm full of shit.
You made that shit real.
That's like the Joker. Women always make shit real.
Now I gotta help him get a job.
No, okay, so nihilism. So while I was at the gym, I listened to this one woman. She does like talk about, well, she has a PhD in theology. She was an ex-Mormon before. So nihilism is basically you just believe that life is shit. we were born to kind of suffer.
Yeah, there's like no inherent meaning to life.
No inherent meaning to life. And it's very interesting about how nihilism, when you think about nihilism, you can think about like, I forgot who, I don't know if Immanuel Kant is one, but it's usually men who are nihilists because it kind of goes into like Barbie and like feminism. Basically, nihilists, in order to kind of get over this like existential dread, they kind of go through, I mean, what everybody goes through, like life just kind of goes crazy, just trying to figure out what's life. I forgot who it was. I forgot it was like Plato, or it's probably not Plato, but correct me. But basically, his like meaning to life, he's like, there's like a large rock that you have to push up, and the whole point of it is like you push it up. I'm not explaining it well, right? But this woman's whole point was, it's kind of hard for women to be nihilists because inherently with womanhood you kind of have to like, you see what I'm trying to say?
I'll give you an easy one here.
It's kind of hard to.
So agree with your point. I think the reason why women, it's hard for them to be nihilists is because, you're not gonna like this, but I think like to some degree their purpose is built in, and that's like reproduction. So when you have kids, like your life becomes your kids. Like everybody says that, right?
That too, yeah.
Whereas with men, like we just kind of like jizz in you and that's it. So like we don't have that like physical bond that women have.
Yeah.
And also like historically speaking, men are always the protectors. You know, we go fight the wars, we fight off the lions. So our lives are a lot more disposable.
Yeah.
At the you know, for women, you know, or like for the family, whatever you want to call it, right? So it's like I think men have this built-in nihilism because that's how we rationalize this idea that we're gonna go fucking die for someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the sacrifice for the greater good or the family, whatever it is, right? Because I totally agree. I think like especially in my early age, like a lot of my thoughts were like nothing fucking matters.
So it's fine.
I still think that to a certain degree.
Right.
I think like nothing matters in the sense that like you shouldn't take life so seriously.
Right.
And you should do whatever you want. Like you should pursue things whether or not you think it'll pan out. Because you only get one shot, so it's like, what the fuck does it matter?
And I guess her whole point was, sorry to cut you off, I just remember.
I'll just finish it by saying I do think that changes for men if they have children.
That's
so like I think they like if it's 0% give a fuck about life, I think you have kids, it's like 25%.
And she also talks about antinatalism too, which like people who just don't want to have kids, like against kids, antinatalism. But she talks about not per se of that specifically, but she talks about how it's more acceptable in society for men to be more nihilist because they kind of try to figure it out. And even eccentric men, like they still have friends and like they still can have a spouse. Like you allowed to be a little eccentric and still be part of society. Whereas she goes like the other spectrum, when you are kind of like nihilist, when you're an eccentric woman, she kind of gives the example of the archetype of the crone. When women are eccentric, they're kind of like ostracized from society. Even with the crone, and she gives the example of Pocahontas, like the grandma who she knew everything. You know, she had all the shit. Like she was just powerful, all knowing and all seeing. But the dad was like kind of the leader. You know what I mean? So if she knew all of the shit and stuff, but because she's kind of out there, she wasn't even allowed to be like kind of part of society. And this woman kind of talks about how, like, even when you're a mother, and some people, like, as a mother, you should, and I think that's Barbie as well, as a mother, like, you should be happy to have your kids, you know, you're a fucking mother. If you kind of are like, oh, having kids is hard, or, like, kind of regret kids, you're almost seen as a monster, whereas, like you said, men can jizz and go, and it's...
Yeah, but,
you know?
It goes back to what we were saying before, like, I think men and women are just inherently different. Like, I think that, like,
But I think it's silly to be like, oh, well, all women desire to have kids, and,
no,
like,
I didn't say that at all. But what I do think is, like, as a man, I think that if I was able to, like, physically create children, to me that would seem like the highest fucking power. Like, you make all the people. You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean you have to want to have kids. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, like, that's a pretty...
I get what you mean.
That's like a
pretty, magical thing.
Yeah, but it's, like, it's also critical to, like, our survival as a species. Like, without women, we don't have...
So what do you think about that, like, women, like, being eccentric, how it's not accepted in society? Do you agree with that? Like, eccentricism in women is not accepted as eccentricism in men. That. You don't? I agree.
I don't agree because I don't think I know any, like, extremely eccentric women. And, like, the women in my life that I would consider eccentric, like, they're perfectly fine. They're not outcasted from society. And, again, like I said, like, in 2023, I don't think that's a thing. Maybe in the 80s, like, it was like, oh, you want to be a comedian? You're fucking weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it was different then. But I think in today's day and age, like...
I mean, when you don't have women, I mean, when a woman doesn't have kids, they're seen as like an old hag. You know what I mean? When a man doesn't, they're a bachelor.
But again, men are disposable. So if the old guy who doesn't have kids, nobody feels bad for them. But for some reason, as a society, we feel bad for women who don't have kids, right? So it's not. I don't know about this like old hag shit or like whatever negative
It's
thing.
the archetype of.
But I can tell you, like, for me, I think that's what plays into it. It's like, oh, and again, like in 2023, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you can do whatever you want with your life, but
Right.
I still feel like there's some of that in us, like at our core.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's interesting, like just going back. I need to show you this lady, but she, you know, I'm TikTok anymore. She just has such interesting topics and stuff because, like, not even like what I'm talking about. Another topic that she brought up that I thought was so interesting is like, she kind of talks about, like, what we were talking about, like keeping in power and like revolution and like the ultimate free will, and like basically they say like the ultimate free will, like you would think, is to kill yourself, to let yourself go of, like, you know what I mean, what's like keeping your society. But she talks about the ultimate free will is to keep going and like basically doing like whatever the fuck you want, because society and like government, like everything, they kind of want you to, they want you to kind of like be in order and follow the rules and follow the whatever, you know, have kids, settle down, get married, do this, let's do it all over again. And she said it's like not the ultimate thing to like go against the grain and like, she just has changed my viewpoints lately, just to go against, like, just to revolutionize, because she's saying if you join one revolution, you're like, let me overthrow like this American, like this democratic government, and then let's say you're like the Green Party, then it's like the Green Party is in power, now this is the oppressor and there's going to be the people who are oppressed.
It's the transfer of power.
It's the transfer of power. Exactly. Exactly. So she was talking about like, it was just so interesting and fascinating. And that shit is so interesting because I always see it, not always, but everything seems so black and white. Like those people are bad and we're the good, or like vice versa. You know what I mean?
It's a trap.
It's a trap, exactly. But it's like if they're not in power, we're not in power, somebody else is. It's always like transferring power. So I don't know. It's a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'll be talking more about her and her like. She talks a lot about like theology, specifically because she was a Mormon before, so she knows a lot about like organized religion. And I feel like I have a pretty good background in organized religion. I mean, my family's Buddhist, so it's not as like strict and like I mean, it's a secular religion, but it's more like reincarnation and shit like that. But I still don't love like organized religion, you know.
Yeah.
And then she talks about like how like the dogma of it and like the indoctrination, like why people need organized religion, you know. She talks about like it's kind of.
We should have enlisted more people. I don't know if you're not being fucking useless today.
Neighbors, it's like she kind of talks about, I don't know, I forgot what I was gonna say. I totally got caught up by what she was saying.
Indoctrination or something.
And dogma. Yeah, I forgot my whole point. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
very
it's an interesting topic, but
definitely.
As far as like religion, I think people need something greater than themselves.
That's basically her point. Yeah.
Because like it's so, I think without that, like we become very self-centered and like selfish,
and they that's need when, like, a set of rules. You know what I mean?
Not even a set of rules, but you have like
well, kinda...
in today's modern age, like a lot of things you hear is like, like we're all connected,
mm-hmm.
like we're all brothers and sisters, like we are all the same, like we should treat each other essentially the way we'd want to be treated because we are just.
Right.
We're just the same version of like.
And they talk about like research shows that like why people feel a certain way during hymns and like during prayers. It's the same as people feel in concerts. It's like that being that unification of one. You know what I mean? It's hard, exactly, and it's just so interesting. It's like it's the ultimate concert, Jesus. You know, like it's very interesting. And like before, I kind of refrained from theology and like God and everything because I was just, when you grow up pretty secular and with religion, you kind of afraid from it. You become very into it or you afraid from it, and I was kind of afraid from it, but I'm getting to the point I'm becoming like more spiritual with the world and with the universe versus like the secular God, and I'm liking him, you know.
Yeah, I always believe that like people should find their own spirituality.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have like if you want to go to church and believe in Jesus, that's fine, or go to the temple, pray to Buddha, whatever it is, or if you just want to do like a bunch of LSD and like fucking talk to the
right
shadow creatures and shit. But you should have some type of understanding of like your placement in the world,
right?
And like this understanding that it's not just this, it's not
exactly.
just here,
it's not just your physical flesh, you know.
Like there's a whole fucking universe out there, and you know how like there's all these parallels. So this is gonna go like kind of left, but I just want to say this real quick. So you know they say like there's more bacteria in our body than there are stars in the universe, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's
like the fucking theory or whatever. And then if they have like all these models of like the universe where like certain galaxies look like neurons or like eyeballs and shit like that. So my theory is that like we don't necessarily know where the origins of the universe came from, but we do know if you pull out big enough, you see these commonalities, and if you zoom in close enough, you see them as well, right?
Yeah.
So what I think is like we're just the bacteria of a bigger organism.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And then the bacteria that's within us, they have like their own concept of what
there's like
the universe is.
Like a TV show, like a kids show about that. They like zoom in. It's like I don't know if it's Fairly Odd Parents or something.
Fucking Magic School Bus or some shit.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's literally that.
But no, like funny. I always thought that, and I think it just goes like it's almost like some quantum realm type shit. Like it's just like an infinite, like things just infinitely get bigger and infinitely get smaller.
I agree with that shit, dude.
So I think like if you think about it like that, like you're just existing on like your layer of that fucking pyramid.
And that's what I kind of loved about it, like going with that lady that's like theology. She kind of is like nothing matters, but also nothing matters. Like both good and bad. You know what I mean? I love that. I love
like nothing matters, so do what you want, but also like don't
like dwell on anything.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Me, you know, I just dwell on every little mistake I have. Like I just scrutinize and just overthink it. It's like
it's like those people who are like, "What's the meaning of life?" Like it's whatever the fuck
what
you
give
make
it.
Yeah.
And I found that out at a pretty young age. Like when I was a teenager, I would think about shit like I have nihilism, existential dread. I went through all of it, and I try to look at like. I really did. Like I'm a very like deep person. Not even like deep, but like I'd be looking very inward.
You're turning into a Barbie.
But I know, right? And at a pretty young age, when I was a teen, I was like, I think literally the meaning of life is what you give it. You know what I mean? I figured that at a very young age, and still I'm anxious.
Because I mean, even if you want to look at it like historically, every like chapter of humanity has had a different quote unquote meaning of life. Right?
Exactly.
So it's like it changes with every fucking generation, anyways. So it's kind of like. And I say this all the time, like we're so blessed to live in today's day and age,
right? Like,
where we don't have like warring tribes in our country,
right?
Like our country, as like the United States, is pretty unified.
Yeah.
We don't have war knocking on our front door,
right?
So with that, you do have the freedom to explore. Like
totally.
The fact that we can just like set up a camera and some microphones and talk our shit,
fucking dope,
and put it on the internet, and like hopefully people listen. A couple of years, like you would be killed. Like what? Yeah. Freedom of speech, die. Like you have opinions against the king. Like you're fucking.
I mean, in certain countries, you still can't do that.
Exactly.
You know, we're very like privileged, and I always recognize my privilege. Like trust me.
Yeah, that's why I like living in America. Because despite all like the little problems and shit,
you're blessed to be like a born citizen of natural born citizen of America, bro. Like my brother and people like that. I'm like, damn, like that's some shit. I was like, they can't take away from, but if you're a felon, I think they can take shit away.
And I think, you know, it's funny you say that, because, like, I think about that, too, and that can be taken away, because the moment that America becomes public enemy number one, so, like, if Russia, China, and all these other countries gang up, they can make some new fucking, you know, agreement or whatever, and now they're like, America's the real problem. Suddenly, having that fucking American passport, having that title, that's a death sentence. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, fuck. Like, you're American? Like, do you like people are gonna be scrounging to get like counterfeit like
you Canadian. Think it's ever gonna come to that in our lifetime?
I'm not saying. What I'm saying is like, as much as it's a privilege now, it could very easily not be.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that.
It could. I think about that shit a lot.
Really, I don't.
Because I do think I think it's great that I was born here, like I live here, and I
wouldn't. Natural born citizen.
I wouldn't really want to live anywhere else except for like maybe Europe, but I would always consider like America my home.
Yeah, of course.
But. And I remember, like, my dad was supposed to give me my Senegalese passport.
Oh, they can do half and half there?
Yeah, because he's Senegalese, so I can have dual citizenship. I don't know why I never got it.
You totally should.
But yeah, but I want it just so, like, in case shit hits the fan, I'm going to be like, nigga, I'm African. I'll take the American out of African-American, nigga. Straight up Senegalese.
No, yeah, so this shit that goes in my little brain.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot.
You know what time
it is. We are at 6:14. Oh shit.
All right. Well, we're at that time. We actually have to go hit
We have a meeting. And I have
so
to call people right now. You guys heard my phone.
the work never ends.
The work. Well, we'll see you at our next episode. We're trying to do this realistically once a week, but
what we're gonna do is probably do like weekly movie reviews. I think we talked about that in the last episode as well. We're gonna do movie reviews weekly, probably either on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday, and then another podcast at some other time.
Yeah.
Where we just like talk about like some other ism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what's gonna be going down. Hopefully, we're gonna stay consistent this time.
Yep. All right. Bye, y'all. I literally gotta go, people.
Deuces.
Bye. Let me get on the. He's calling me.